Hi guys, I hope you're doing absolutely amazing so far. Welcome to this video on subscribers. So in the previous video we talked about publishers, and in here we will talk about subscribers. So we essentially have two subscribers, sync, assign. So just like sync, we will take a look at what assign subscriber is, and then we will talk about custom subscribers, the subscribers that we can create of our own. And we'll learn something really unique here, that the life cycle of the subscription that we were talking about, that any cancelable is a reference to the subscription. As long as the any cancelable reference is alive, our subscription is alive. That is in the case of sync, we learned. It is same in the case of assign, but it is not in the case of custom subscriptions. So we will talk about how the subscription is there in custom subscribers and how do we maintain those subscriptions. To conclude everything is basically we have the any cancelable concept only for sync and assign, and it's not there for custom subscribers. So let's get started and explore this and gain clarity on this. So I have mentioned here, we have the first, we'll talk about sync, just a quick recap on what we have been looking at. We'll talk about what is a sync, we'll talk about what is assign, and then we'll talk about our custom subscribers. So when we talk about sync, we know we have seen this example before as well. I've just created a normal sequence and made it a publisher, and we are syncing on it. So basically this is our way of subscribing to our publisher, and it's a finite value publisher. So we have learned sync gives any cancelable reference, and it depends on the publisher. There are two types of publisher, finite and infinite value publisher. If the value is finite, then compiler maintains any cancelable reference. So we don't have to worry about it. And as long as the any cancelable reference is alive, our subscription is alive, publisher will publish, sync will receive the values. But if the values are infinite, like timer, then we will have to retain the any cancelable reference. So that is what sync is all about. Just like sync, assign also return any cancelable, and but there is one agenda for which we use assign over sync, and that is assign. As the word says, assign, whenever we have a publisher and we use assign subscriber, we are taking the values from the publisher and we are taking with an agenda that we are going to give this value or assign these values to a publisher. So we take the values from a publisher and we just assign it to another publisher. So what we have written here, I've just written one class example. It has a property variable text of type string and has an initial value. We will talk about why we have add published. When we want to make, when we want to make a normal property publisher, we just use add published in front of it. As soon as there is any update in it, it will publish that update. So if there is any update in the value from initial to anything else, it will just publish that value. And we have a function here, update, which has one simple publisher and our subscriber assign here. So we are using dot assign and the parameter 2. To that we are giving this property name text. Now we have the and dollar sign because the property is not a normal property, it's a published property. And this is the way to actually reference to that. And I've created the reference of example here. I have been printing the text, then updating, and then printing again. So let's run this and check the output first, and then we'll understand a bit more onto this. And you would see our first sync is giving us 1, 2, 3, 4. This is the output for that. And we are receiving initial and then new value. So we have been printing the value of the text, which is initial. Then we made the update to it with this text new value. It was published by just publisher. and the subscriber assign was just assigning that value to the text. Then we did print again, so we are getting the new value. So when we use assign, the purpose is directly assign the value to a property, which is also a publisher. We cannot keep a normal property here. If we do keep a normal property, it would be a problem. I will comment this code. And since our property is no longer published, we don't have to use and dollar here. So it's mandatory for the assign. When we use assign, the property should be, the text should be at published, or it should be a publisher. So let's run it and it will give you the problem. It says cannot convert value of type string to expected argument type published. Because it's normal string, it is impossible to convert the at publish output of the assign to the normal string type. And it points out to our text here in the assign. If we mark it as published, then it's all good. So we use assign. Okay, I have to use and dollar as well. And if you run it, it gives you the output. So when we use dot assign, we have to make sure we are assigning it to a publisher property. So the usage is basically automatically update the add publish property or a current value subject, which is also a publisher. We'll talk about this in very much detail in upcoming videos. But just like publish property, current value subject is also a publisher, and it returns any cancelable. Just like sync, it returns any cancelable. We have seen the flow of sync, that is when exactly the any cancelable gets created, and after that the subscription is alive. Now the subscription is alive, the publisher can publish the values, sync can receive the values, or we can say publisher can publish the values and assign can receive the values. And after that, any cancelable gets deallocated, and it basically means the subscription has cancelled or died. And that is it. That is all about assign. Just to remember, assign can only assign to combine compatible properties like add published or current value subject, which is also a publisher. Now let's move on to our third topic, that is custom subscriber. So I have created a class here. Let's learn first how to create a custom subscriber. So what I have named it is my subscriber. To create your custom subscriber, all you have to do is to confirm to a protocol subscriber and just have some stub added. So we have three receive methods and two type alias. So we have input. We will be expecting the string type values from the publisher, to which we will subscribe to using our subscriber. And in case our subscriber fails, we are just giving it never type. Now let's come to our methods. So we have the first receive method. So as soon as you use my subscriber to subscribe to a publisher, we receive a subscription here. And we mention that I will actually remove this for now. This subscription we receive, we use that subscription to mention the request as unlimited or something else. What does it mean? When we say request, it is a way of telling that our subscriber is capable of or demanding how many values from the publisher. So publisher can publish the values, but it's up to our custom subscriber how many values it can actually take or it's capable of. So we have to mention that using request. And if you take a read on this, tells the publisher that it may send more values to the subscriber. So we use request, and here we say demand. So we can say none. None basically means a request for no elements from the publisher. That basically means the subscriber is expecting is going to take no value from the publisher. If you set it to unlimited, then it says a request for as many values as the publisher can produce. So it is ready to take as many value as possible for the publisher to publish. And we can also set it to max value, create a demand for the given max number of elements. So we can say publisher can publish as many values as possible, but our subscription will actually take the values only one. So when we use sync here, we are taking all the values. So by default, sync has unlimited mentioned. For sync, it's by default unlimited, and it can take all the values. It will take one by one, print it, all good. But this is not the case with our custom subscription. We have to mention the request. So I will set it to unlimited right now. Now let's move on to our other two methods. This is the receive method, which is going to take the input. So the sync is taking the input in the value, just like that. Input will have that, and we will just say receive value and the input. We will also return dot unlimited, which is the return type of the method subscriber dot demand. Why we are doing that? Because every value that we are receiving, our subscriber is receiving. After that, we will keep this publisher updated that our status is still unlimited. We are ready to take as many values as you can produce. And the third method is the completion. Once our subscriber is done taking all the values, it will just call the completion and print completed. And here I've created the reference to our subscriber and how we use it with publisher. Let's see that. So we have a simple finite value publisher, and we are using the dot subscribe, just like we used to use dot sync, dot assign. We are using dot subscribe and give our subscriber here. So we have created a my subscriber reference here, and we are passing it to our dot subscribe. Now let's run this and see this in action. I will comment the above code and let's run it. And you would see it says receive value 1, 2, 3, and then it says completed. So when you use subscribe and give your my subscriber the custom subscriber, first it calls this method, get aware of how many values a subscriber can take, and also creates the subscription. Now after that, it will start the subscription. The subscriber will actually take all the values, print it, and once it's done, the subscription will die, and it will call this completion method and it will say completed. That is the basic flow. Now let's take a look at something different when we say dot none, which basically means the subscriber will not going to take or demanding any values. The request for no elements from the publisher. So remember in the beginning of the video, we were talking about the difference between the custom subscriber and the assign or sync. So assign, sync versus the custom subscriber, the difference is we used to have the any cancelable reference to the subscription there when we used to use sync or assign, but we don't get it in case of custom subscribers. We get this subscription which is different from that, and the life cycle of this subscription is also different from any cancelable which we used to get in sync or assign. So our question is, we have learned so far that any cancelable is a reference to the subscription. As long as that is alive, our subscription is alive. So how is the life cycle of this subscription here? Well, this is called low level subscription. And when we talk about any cancellation, that is high level subscription. And that is how we can keep it in mind for now. We'll talk about this even more, but let's see something about the life cycle of this subscription, which is the low level subscription, and it is different from the high level subscription. So when I use .none, what we are trying to do is our subscription is not going to take any values. So let's see what happens. So I will run it and you would see nothing is happening. So what I was expecting is we should have this completed printed at least, although we are expecting none. So this subscription life cycle should be in this order. The subscription get created, and since the request is none, so publisher will publish all the values, but will not, the subscriber will not take any values, and the subscription will end and the completion will be called. But that is something which doesn't happen. And the way we are assuming the life cycle of the subscription is not true. So let's understand this life cycle in detail. So I will stop this. And the very first thing I've mentioned here is the demand. When we say .none, the demand was actually paused. So the flow is like this. The subscription get created and now the subscription is alive. The publisher can publish and the subscriber can keep receiving the values. But that doesn't happen because our demand is none. So what happens is the subscription gets created, but it gets paused. And after some time, it gets unpaused and cancelled. But it doesn't call after cancellation, it doesn't call our completion because the demand was none. It was never got completed. So there is no call to the completion here. And that is the short answer to it. So I've mentioned here demand was paused, not completed, so it never caused the completion of your subscription. Dot subscriber don't return any cancelable. Custom subscriber has low level subscription. So we have talked about this and we have well established this difference that when you use dot subscribe and give your custom subscriber, it does not return any cancelable, unlike assign and dot sync. They return any cancelable, and we have learned that when they return, it depends on the publisher you're using, of what kind. If it's a finite value, if it's an infinite value. If it's a finite value publisher, then compiler will retain the any cancelable reference, and we don't have to. If it's an infinite value publisher, then we will have to hold on to it to keep the reference alive, to keep the subscription alive. But when it comes to subscribe here, it has no concept of any cancellation, which we just established. So it has the low level subscription and not high level subscription. High level subscription is any cancelable. So let's talk more about this low level subscription. So I will take a read on this once again. Dot subscribe don't return any cancelable. Custom subscriber has low level subscription and it is totally different from high level subscription. So let's consider the first case, that is when we use .sync or assign, which returns any cancelable. And the case two is using a custom subscriber, which manages subscription directly and do not return any cancelable. So these are the two cases, which is different. Now, when we talk about the first case, when we use sync, any cancelable is just a convenience for combines high-level API, sync assign, and it is for only sync and assign. Subscription is, which is the second case when you use .subscribe, like here, is the actual low-level object that always exists when you subscribe, even if the demand is none. So when you say demand is none, the subscription you receive here is getting created and it stays alive, but it gets paused. let's take more read on to it. So far what we have learned, just to conclude, that I have mentioned here the events and short note on that. So for events, that is when we use sync, when sync is called, assign is called, the subscription is created. Yes, the subscription is created. Is any cancelable created? Yes. And when we talk about subscribe that we use for our custom subscribers, when that is called with the custom subscriber I've mentioned here, is subscription created? Yes. But is cancelable returned? No, because that is the concept of high level subscription and this is a low level subscription. So what do we see here? Here, if it was .sync, we would have created a let cancelable of type any cancelable, and we would have used cancelable here like this, and we would have retained the any cancelable. But our dot subscriber do not return that, but we are still expecting any cancelable. Let's run it and see the error. So it says cannot assign value of type parenthesis to type any cancelable. The error says cannot assign value of type parenthesis to type any cancelable dot subscribe my subscriber. That basically means this error says that dot subscribe does not return the value which you are expecting in here of type any cancelable. And that is a proof that our subscriber do not return any cancelable and it has a low level subscription actually. So let's remove it and come back more to the proof that we have just seen. Proof that subscribe don't create any cancelable. So this is well established. We have seen it very clearly that any cancelable is a reference we get from sync and assign. It's not the case with the custom subscribers. We use dot subscriber where it's not the case in that it's not there, the any cancelable, it's not there in case of custom subscriber. And the what we're doing right now is just understanding the difference very clearly and establish that so that we can then start looking into why our completion handler is not called when we used .none. And from there, we will start exploring the life cycle of the subscription, the low level subscription of the custom subscriber. So let's come back. We have seen the proof that subscriber don't create any cancelable. Any cancelable is just a holder that combine gives you for convenience in sync and assign pipeline. Custom subscribers like to manage subscription directly. So you get a subscription, not an any cancelable. And the conclusion overall is our question was, does any cancelable get created when we use .subscribe? The answer is no. No cancelable is created when you use .subscribe directly. This is because any cancelable is a combines high level wrapper. It's only used by convenience operator like .sync or .assign, or you can say convenience operator or the subscribers. Subscribe that we use for custom subscriber returns void or nothing. It doesn't return anything, and that is why we have seen the error. So the key takeaway is custom subscriber manage their own subscription directly. Any cancelable is only returned by the operator like sync assign and not by .subscribe. Now let's take a look at the life cycle of the subscription, the low level subscription. Even though custom subscriber has low level subscription, why in case of .none completion is not called? So let's take a look at the flow of it. So we are aware of the flow of sync. So we will take a look at flow of subscribe and we'll take a look at the flow of when we are using none and when we are using .unlimited. So let's revise a bit on .sync. It's very straightforward. We have seen this in previous videos. the publisher gets created. This is for sync. Publisher gets created. The publisher abc.publish, it exists, and sync is called. So start subscription process. That basically means return any cancelable. Okay, and only after that the subscription, yeah, is alive. So combine gives you an any cancelable subscription created. Internal subscription is created and is stored inside any cancelable. Demand is unlimited. This is default for .sync. Combine request all values immediately. That means we can say sync request all values immediately. Publisher sends the values, that is ABC, and after that the publisher completes. As soon as publisher completes, compiler knows about it, and it calls the completion handler of the sync with .finish value, and any cancelable still exists but is dead. So this is going to exist even if you hold on to the cancelable, the pipeline is finished. So when you talk about finite publisher, even if you hold on to it, the compiler knows the publisher already published all the values, so it will just deallocate the any cancelable, the reference to the subscription, even though you hold on to it. In case of infinite values, you have to manually cancel using the any cancelable reference, and that is it. Any cancelable is deallocated. Combine cleans up any internal resources when cancelable is released, and that is what we have seen in previous video. This is how the sync flow is. But when we talk about the subscribe flow, so especially when we use .none, when our subscription, the custom subscriber demand is none, we have this step written here, and the key takeaways from the step, we will talk about this. So when we are mentioning our subscriber has none demand, the publisher gets created, the ABC publisher exists, subscriber called, my subscriber is connected, and the third is subscription created. A low level subscription is created and passed to receive subscription method. I will just keep it here. So receive subscription is our method, which is right here. This receives that low level subscription reference, and this is the parameter which has that subscription method. And we can keep the subscription alive as much as we want by holding on to it, right? So as long as the subscription reference is alive, the low level subscription reference is alive, as long as we hold on to it. And here we receive that subscription. If our request is .none called inside receive subscription, no values are requested from the publisher. The publisher holds subscription open. Publisher is waiting for future demand. So here our subscription is paused because the subscriber is not asking for the value. The publisher should keep publishing the values. It's not the case. Publisher will also pause. The subscriber will also pause, and they both are in paused state. The publisher holds subscription open. The subscription is there, but in the paused state. And publisher is waiting for the future demand. Maybe at some point in the future, you can say that my demands now is from none to unlimited. So that pause is for that. And subscriber never asks for more data. That demand changes in the future. As we have seen in this method, receive, we are keep telling the demand as we keep receiving the values one by one from the publisher. So at every step of the publisher, at every publishing of the value, we keep telling the publisher that our demand is unlimited. But it never reaches to this method because of none, the subscription gets paused and it never reaches here in the future. Publisher never gets to know about the upcoming demands. It just right from the beginning it's none. So the problem is subscriber never ask for more data in the future. So no value sent, publisher is paused, subscriber deallocated or calls subscription.cancel automatically. Subscription is cancelled, publisher release all resources, subscriber cancelled, combine, sorry, publisher release all resources and combine cleans up. No receive completion is called because subscriber is cancelled. Just to go through it in a brief manner, our subscription gets created. When the request is none, the subscription gets created, it's alive, but it gets paused. The publisher is paused. The publisher holds on to the subscription, but it is paused. Why? Because publisher is expecting the upcoming demands, but since the beginning the demand is none, so the subscription gets paused and then subscriber deallocated or call subscription.cancel. After that, the subscription is cancelled and the combine cleans up the resources. So the key takeaway is the lifecycle has the subscription and why .none does not call the completion handler or the completion method, not completion handler, the completion method, which is this, is because it never reaches to this. There are no upcoming demands. So the subscription gets paused right from the beginning. It is none. And once it's get paused, the subscription gets cancelled after that. And as soon as it's cancelled, the demands are not met. So the completion method, the completion method is not called. If there were any demand, then it would have gone fulfilled and then the completion is going to be called. Let's take a look at the key takeaways. When we use .none, no any cancelable is created. It's a custom low-level subscription. Lifecycle is totally different. And the subscription is created, publisher and subscriber both paused, waiting for the demand. Subscriber, your custom code or the custom subscriber is responsible for deciding when to cancel. So we can have a method as well here, function. And here we can, as soon as we get the subscription, we can hold on to it. So we can like create a variable here. And I can just give it subscription, self.subscription, subscription. And we can use this to cancel. And we can use dispatch queue. After some time, we can just cancel this. But when our request is none, the subscription gets created. It never gets the upcoming demands. So basically the publisher is waiting on the upcoming demands, but since the beginning the demand is none, so there are no upcoming demands, so publisher and subscriber both gets paused and after some time it gets cancelled, and it doesn't call the completion as well in that sense in that case. And this is one way the flow ends, that is the demand is none. If it was unlimited, it would have gone from this method to this. At every publishing of the value, it will keep, the publisher will keep the information that the demand upon demand is still unlimited, and it will keep publishing the values. Once all the values are emitted by the publisher, it will call the completion handler, and we can use this to cancel anytime. This is the way we are holding on to the subscription automatically. No receive completion because cancellation was initiated by subscriber. So you, the subscriber, are responsible for managing the subscription lifecycle yourself inside your custom subscriber implementation. That is our receive subscription. Right now, we are holding on to it and we can cancel it. If we try running it now, you will see still nothing happening because the same flow is happening right now. The subscription just gets cancelled and it never calls, it never gets the upcoming demand, and it never calls the completion as well. Because the subscription was paused and the demands were never fulfilled because there were no upcoming demands, so no completion. We pause this, and if we take a look at the unlimited flow, the publisher gets created, subscriber gets created, the subscription gets created, the low level subscription gets created. The request is .unlimited, which is called inside the receive subscription. All values are requested. The publisher sends all the values. The values flow receive into the second method, which is this receive method. All the inputs are received, and we keep telling the upcoming demands, that is the unlimited, and coming back. So publisher sends all the values, publisher completes, subscriber holds subscription. So the completion is called, that method is called, my subscriber still holds the subscription, but it's done. So right now we are holding the subscription in a variable, but after it has done emitting all the values, it will be done. Subscriber will be released. No active subscription left to manage actually. Publish release all the resources and combine cleans it up for you. So even though I'm holding on to the subscription, but it is of no use, right? Because the if I use unlimited, in that case it's of no use, because the subscription will start, the publisher will publish the values, it will receive, and after that the subscription will be cancelled or deallocated. This is a low level subscription, will be getting deallocated and it will have nothing. But before the subscription gets cancelled, or before the publisher is done emitting all the values, before that you call the cancel method. That you can do. So we will have to slow down the publisher, and let's say every second it's publishing the value, and in the second after the first second we can cancel the subscription. So due to the cancel of the subscription, the publisher will not publish any more values. We'll come to that, but let's complete our flow of when we are using the .unlimited demand. So the key takeaway is no any cancelable is created. This is I have written just to clarify again and again that any cancelable is a high level concept used by sync and assign, and it's not used by the custom subscriber or our dot subscriber operator, because it has the low level subscriber which has a different life cycle. The high level subscriber and low level subscriber is different only because of its life cycle. The flow is different. And subscription is created, all values flow immediately, completion is received, no manual cancellation is required. After completion, the subscription is automatically cleaned up. And we will talk about how to hold the low level subscription and cancel it. So this is something we will talk about in the next video actually. And I hope so far you find this video informative, and let's connect in the next one.